नमस्कार जेना फैमिली। मैं विनय पांडे ग्वालियर से जुड़ा हूं आपके संग। और बिफोर वी गो ऑन टू द टॉपिक, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड लाइक टू give my hearty thanks to Rajiv ji, who has been so keen to select a topic of the day so relating to all of us. In fact, in the present times, it is one of the topics which needs the discussion and which needs to be taken care of. And it is my pleasure that I have been given this opportunity to speak before you on this global forum, if I can call it. The topic today is relating to education in our country. Basically, we are going to focus on the concern for the children, rather their students, their guardians, and of course the teachers. So let me start with the beginning of education, which actually starts with the admission process. Sometimes you must have heard that nowadays the planning of a family also includes a plan for the children's admission in a school of repute or school of choice. And I was really rather hurt to listen this, that before the birth of child, the guardians have to take care of this, plan for this as to in which school their ward will get an admission. And probably they may have to have a booking for that in advance before the child is born. So that is the kind of state of affair it has come to be in the present times. This itself explains as to how much serious the problem is, as to how to get our children a better education and then a better life in years to come. Now, to start with the children, nowadays the education process as a whole, I must say that it has gone quantitative. Rather than focusing on the quality of education, wherever you find, you see that the people, the administration, the universities, the colleges, the ministry even, they are all focusing on the quantity. If there is a school, the school needs a lot of admissions. If admissions are done, they need a lot of passing percentages. Number of students passing should be more and more. Out of those passing students also, there should be higher percentage obtained by those students. This kind of desire is all over, can be seen. And personally, I feel that this has been so killing for our society, for our future, especially for our country, in a state in which we are in. We are so-called developing nation. So in this present scenario, it becomes a very killing factor, whereas where we are not focusing on the quality, but we are talking on volumes. Same is the case with children firstly getting admission in KGs or even in the first standard. It becomes very difficult for the guardians, for the parents, to get a good school for their wards. And sometimes it's out of affordability as well. Those who can afford, for them, there may not be a problem. But then for middle class or lower middle class families, it has been a great issue as to how to get on to this. First of all, for children, nowadays the education system is such that if you compare this outcome of this particular education system with the outcome of, say, past about 10 years or so, then we find a lot of difference, a wide gap between these two, especially in age group and in age group in which we are in. We find that there has been a very vast difference between the condition which was there, say, 10 years before or 15 years before, and what it is today. And now a child may not go through the normal procedure of learning the normal rhythm of learning, you might find that the kids are jumping on nowadays. If you compare their academic level, they may not come up to the standard. But if you see their awareness, the kind of information they have, the kind of tips, tricks they have, it is wonderful. It is tremendous. And this all has been because of the modern society, the modern technological developments, the advancements in social media, things like that. If you just talk to a child of, say, UKG or maybe first standard, you'll find that the basics which were there in our times, those basics are missing. Sometimes we're surprised as to how this child has passed the previous exam and how come he or she has come into this level. But then this is the say need of our, or the time has changed, the patterns have changed. They may not remember the multiplication tables. They may not remember the whole system and the process of vowels and consonants. But they know how to make the sentences. They know how to solve the mathematical problems. And this kind of change has taken place. Similarly, when you take the case of guardians or say the parents, there has been tremendous change in the mentality, in the level of thinking, in the economic status. Everything has changed. We got to accept all these things in a very positive manner. Otherwise, there is going to be a lot of dissatisfaction among we parents. Our part should be actually to look into our status, that is financial, the academic, the social, everything, the environment, and then we should decide upon as to what direction we have to go in to get our children educated in the best possible manner. Coming to the guardian's role in the children's education, it has been very challenging since beginning, and same is the case today. The only thing, the patterns have changed. In olden times, the challenge was to afford the education, afford the expenses of the education, to send them to a good school or to a good town or to a good university. That was a challenge. Now, other than this, there has been many other challenges which parents are facing. One of them is to get a futuristic program, futuristic education for the kids, because after all, this complete system, this complete effort is going to make the future or the career of that student. So parents have started thinking in that direction. They are just not thinking to get them literate, but they are planning for their future, for their career, for their wealth, for their well-being, all these sort of things. In that, one should, as a parent, understand that what is the interest of my child, in which area he or she has got his or her inclination, and then they should decide upon as to in which area the child should go. There has been cases of imposing our own choices over the children, which in no way can be assessed as a better idea. You may have an ambition that your child, your son or daughter, should be in this position when he grows up, when he has his career. But then the child may not have the same kind of attitude, same kind of aptitude, rather. So you have to actually be very sincere and very honest in deciding as to in which field we want to send our children. This has been a very great challenge in front of we parents, especially those who are dependent on jobs, on services. If they are dependent on some business, if they have some family business or family enterprises, the case may be different. But if a child has to be brought up in such a way that he has to earn his own bread and butter, then the parent has to be very, very careful deciding as to in which faculty, in which field his or her child should go. This has been also supported or rather added with the tensions, with the worries of uh, selecting the kind of courses, selecting the kind of programs which are run. Fact is also that these days the number of programs, the number of courses, the types of courses have been increased numerously. In olden times, there used to be very limited number of courses and very limited number of fields in which one could go, one could opt for. But in present times, you find countless types of courses and programs which are available for the students to catch on. In this regard, the parents should update himself about what is going on in the present system, what are the new avenues, what are the new opportunities, which branches have come up newly. These kinds of awareness, these kind of informations must be gathered by the parents so that they can guide their wards accordingly. Now, coming to the teacher's role, teachers and gurus. I find there is a lot of difference when we say teachers and when we used to say gurus. Now the things have changed. I can't equate teachers with gurus. Gurus used to be only gurus. Today's gurus or teachers are not only gurus, but they are actually their own, in their own field. They are professional people who are there not only for imparting education to the children, but they are professionally there to make their own earnings, to make their own well-being. So there is a difference. Nowadays, the teacher is playing a role, having something in his back of his mind that he has to perform better, he has to earn better, he has to promote himself, he has to go into some kind of improvement, development all through his career. This actually means that the education has been challenged by this kind of feeling, by this kind of nature of the system which has adopted this kind of pattern. Teachers nowadays, government teachers, if you talk about government school teachers, they have their own pattern of teaching, they have their own way of dealing with the students. When it comes to private schools, private colleges, the scenario is entirely different. There is a very ironic fact about it. You'll find that government schools or colleges teachers, they are very highly paid, and the schools are charging very minimal fees from the students. On the other hand, if we compare the private schools or colleges, the faculty members, the teaching faculty members are paid very minimally, whereas the school fees or the college fees, which is charged from the students, is very high. So you can imagine the basic difference, what is happening there. If you get your child admitted in some government school, in some elite institute, then it's okay. But otherwise, if you have no option than to give your child to some private schools or say lower middle end schools, then you have to have a lot of effort for your child, for your ward to do better in his future, because then everything is dependent solely on the student's effort. The faculty or the college or the institute will have its own way of doing the things, its own way of carrying out the complete process of education. The complete effort has to be paid by the student who is admitted in that particular institute, so that he goes through the hardship and he makes his own way in the future. There are some elite institutes, premier institutes in our country. There is no problem, because they take the cream students and they train them, they educate them in a better way. in a very, I can say, regularized way, in a very standard way. But then when it comes to lower end cap colleges or schools, then it's only a kind of formal education, a kind of commercialized way of teaching. So that part has to be seen very seriously. When it comes to teachers' role, the parents should take this decision keeping in mind various factors of this particular education system, which is now there in our country. Recently, some new policies have come up. They call it New Education Policy or National Education Policy, NEP. I believe that there are going to be a lot of changes in the systems, but then ultimately the key concern remains the implementation of those policies, the ground level realities as to how these things can be implemented in a higher percentage, in real sense, and in honest way. Because mainly what we find is we have a lot of good policies, good rules, regulations, laws, everything. But then when it comes to implementation level, then we somewhere or the other lack. If you talk about the number of schools opening up, number of colleges coming up in our country, in our states, in our surroundings, you'll find that without any planning, without any thinking, without any future aspects, without looking after the future planning, the things are getting done. A lot of colleges have come up without assessing their performance, without uh, checking whether they have followed all those procedures, all those standards or not. So actual key concern is whatever has been made in the policy, whatever changes have been made, or better things have been brought in the policy, those things have to be implemented at the ground level so that the teachers also get the proper outcome. They are they have the kind of encouragement, incentive, so that they can do their duty, they can perform their task in an efficient manner. But it's for us to see whether it is going to really change the scenes of education in our country. Coming to the technical education, because I belong to an institute which is imparting technical education to our youth, that is BTech program. In fact, it's after 12th, you have two options. Either you can go into higher education or you can go into technical education. We are dealing with technical education. So I shall just put forward some of the points related to technical education here. Firstly, the admission criteria. As I said, the quality in the system has been lacking. Now you can imagine at one end you have IITs, NITs, and some of the premier government colleges, engineering colleges, which have a lot of standards, a lot of higher cutoffs, and then they select the cream students, and then they educate them, they give them degrees. But then the left out students have a better option for them, as they say. If they score 45% aggregate in their physics, chemistry, math, they are eligible for the getting admission into BTech program. This is very ironic, very unbelievable. A student somehow gets to reach to 45% marks, and then he gets an admission into an engineering college. Then the system of our practical exams, our projects, our attendance, our classes, everything. After doing all that, after 4 years, he becomes a graduate engineer, and then he lacks employability. You see, the engineering has been designed in a way in which two types of courses were planned. One was at diploma level and the other was at degree level. The diploma level engineering was actually designed for the hands-on experience, direct working class of people so that they can have technical manpower. Whereas the degree level course was designed for the purpose of academic excellence, for research and development and designing, etc. Now the scenario is such that the diploma level students who have completed their diploma, 3-year diploma from an institute, they have, of course, the practical knowledge better than the degree students, whereas the degree level students, those who are not from the elite or the premier institutes of the country, they lack in the practical aspects. They are only having the theoretical knowledge. Somehow they are clearing their written exams, and they do not know what is going inside the things practically. They lack in the projects, they lack in research, they lack in development programs, they lack in innovations. But the good news is that after having all these kinds of constants in our education system, we find that the top creamy layer of our students are really worth. The only thing, we have to control those students from getting out of the country, what is so-called brain drain. That we have to stop somehow. We have to control that, so that that intellect which we have in the creamy layer of our students does not leave the country. They work for the country, within the country, they work for India, they work for the betterment of our nation. If that can be done, then it's sufficient for us to, prove better in the present schemes which have recently come up, like Make in India, Skill India, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough, because we have a lot of engineers, a lot of doctors, a lot of managers who have passed out from different institutes, but they are not good for themselves. They are not good for the nation. That is very alarming. So this is what I had to say about this topic. I think if anyone has any point, which
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Professor Vinay Pandey, I have got only
please,
suggestion, curiosity, and your take,
sure,
uh, which I am going to take up with the Education Ministry or somewhere.
sure,
The IIT and IM at least,
yes,
or for that matter, even NIT, when we talk of the top institute,
yes,
they are funded by the income taxpayers. That is why it is subsidized,
yes,
right? And then you just now quoted brain drain.
yes.
Majority of them, they go away from India.
Mm,
Now, taxpayers pay you the money to get educated because you qualified with higher marks and you became eligible to get into those good institutes.
yeah,
But did you serve the country? You did not. But did you take money from the company, from the country? You do take. The taxpayer gave you the money to get educated. Only proposal that I have in my mind is
yes,
whether it is IIT, whether it is IM graduates, they should, before being awarded the certificate during the convocation, they must submit a proposal through their studies
mm,
for your Stand Up India, Startup India.
mm,
If it is in the curriculum, like you pass out this, that, and you get a certificate.
mm,
This should also be made compulsory,
yes,
that if your proposal for startup and stand up is selected, approved,
mm,
which certifies or qualifies or justifies the taxpayers' money, at least You have given something out of your brain.
To the
Then you may
country.
go abroad. Then you may go abroad.
True, true, true.
Only if you have submitted and it has been approved by the departmental head or the institute or whatever it is, shall you be given the certificate of qualification.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will be withheld.
Without. Yes, there has to be some mechanism in this way, so that it gives
For a
some
very
kind of,
simple reason. For a very
yes,
simple reason.
yes, yes, yes.
Your education has been paid by the taxpayers.
Of course.
You qualify and you go abroad. What have you given back to the taxpayers? What have you given back to the country?
To
Nothing.
the country. Yes, nothing.
So before you get the certificate in your hand, whatever you're good at, can't you submit something out of your brain which can help the countries stand up and start up?
Sure.
Submit. If it is approved, you will be given this during the convocation, the certificate.
Yes. There must be. There
It
must be. I
is.
feel that there must be some kind of mechanism like this.
I'm only talking about all those institutes where taxpayers' money is going. I'm not at all talking about any institute
Which
where
are having
taxpayers,
self-financed, or they are having some
private
minimal
institute,
aid from the government. Yes. For them, the story is different. But of course, for those institutes, there has to be some kind of undertaking of some kind of, guarantee that at least something they should give to our country back. Yes, truly.
because it is absolute stupidity that I'm a brilliant student and I've got into IIT or I've got into IIM and I'm getting educated by paying piddly amount.
Yes.
Piddly amount, I'm saying. Because the whole subsidy is going through taxpayers. And then you pass out from there and then you go abroad.
Yes.
By taking a salary of maybe 1 crore per month or some shit like that.
Yeah, possibly, yes. Yes.
So
And
taxpayer is
expenses.
giving you money. Why should taxpayer give you money? Why?
Yes.
If you do want 1 crores of salary, pay. Then pay for your education.
There are people who are paying. Those who are doing it from the elite private institutes. They are paying
From the
huge amount
private
of
institute, mind it.
the
From the
huge amount
private
of money
institute,
for that.
from the private institute, I have got no issues there.
Whereas these people are paying so feeble amount as fees, so feeble. I mean, nobody can.
It's you cannot even imagine
Yes.
what kind of
So
a tuition fees they pay.
yes.
And they are considered to be the elitist of the elite colleges and institutes. So this is where the major mindset difference amongst the
Yes,
guardian and student lies.
absolutely.
The guardian pushes the student to get into the premier institute because they know two things. One, that the child will get brand value and they don't have to pay any huge amount. Child knows if I get into this institute, I don't have to pay money. I will get a brand value and I get a very, very hefty salary and a very
Absolutely.
secured salary.
Yes, everything is in his stride. Everything, every aspect is in his favor. But
So
they must give back to the country.
this is why in your today's wonderful discussion, I think this is my only area of concern.
No, it's really
And if at an appropriate platform, If I can put it up, let me see how I can put it up. But I'm very concerned about it.
Yes, yes. It must be.
So thank you very much, Professor
Thank
Sir.
you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Right then, shall it
You
call it a
receive
day?
an email on notification when the cloud recording is 1 second. It says after stopping, you'll receive an email
Okay.
notification when the cloud recording is ready. I never get email. I get it on the straight away. Anyway.